The message came just as we were loading gear into the truck. I was supposed to be home in 3 days. After 14 months deployed in northern Iraq, all I wanted was a hot shower and my daughter's arms around my neck. But that message, it rewired everything inside me. Dad, Mom's boyfriend brought people. They're staying here. One of them said they'll welcome you when you come back. He said I should watch. I read it twice, then a third time. My hand was frozen on the handle of my duffel. My team was still laughing behind me, tossing packs, joking about layovers. I didn't hear them anymore. Just the pulse in my ears, loud and deep. The sender, Lena, my daughter, 11 years old. Smart. Brave. Too brave to send a message like that unless she had no choice. I didn't speak. I turned, walked straight to the captain's office, and demanded an early return. No protocol. No wait list. I burned every favor I had in 20 years of service. My name's Nathan Cole, Staff Sergeant, 3rd Battalion, 504th Infantry Regiment, Fort Bragg. But none of that mattered now. I wasn't a soldier. I was a father. And someone had crossed a line. 2 days later, I landed at a private airstrip outside Greensboro, North Carolina. My best friend from the Army, Devin Torres, picked me up in his black Ford pickup, windows tinted, Glock in the glove box. "You're not gonna like what you see," Devin said, his voice low as the tires chewed the dark road. "I drove past your place yesterday. Lights on at midnight. Loud music. People smoking on your porch like it's a damn trap house." I didn't answer. I'd stopped speaking the moment I stepped off the plane. We pulled into the cul-de-sac just past 2 a.m. The neighborhood was dark except for one house, mine. Every light was on. Bass thumped through the windows, some repetitive beat shaking the siding like cheap aluminum. Devin parked a block away. "You want backup?" "Not yet," I said. "Just watch the back. If it goes bad, get Lena." He nodded once. We'd been through worse together, but this was different. This wasn't war. This was home. I walked toward the porch. The welcome mat was gone, replaced by cigarette butts and a beer can crushed flat. The wooden sign that used to say "Home Sweet Home" was hanging sideways by one rusted nail. The front door was unlocked. I stepped inside. She was there, in the kitchen. Chelsea. My wife. Ex-wife, maybe. I didn't know anymore. She wore a basketball jersey 2 sizes too big, not mine. She leaned against the counter like it was a lazy Sunday morning, wine glass in hand, eyes hazy. Well, she said, not turning. "The prodigal returns." I said nothing, just stared at her. At the kitchen where we once made pancakes for Lena. At the floor scuffed with boot marks that weren't mine. "Where's Lena?" She waved her hand dismissively. "Probably hiding. She's been moody lately. I told her you'd come stomping in like Captain America. Looks like I was right." Then he walked in. Trey. I didn't know him then, but I didn't need to. Tank top, gold chain, cheap tattoos crawling up his neck. He held a bottle of liquor in one hand, something heavy and metal in the other, a crowbar. He grinned. "This the famous sergeant." My hands tightened at my sides. Chelsea smirked. "Relax, Nate. Trey's just staying here while things get sorted. You're not exactly the man of the house anymore." "Where is my daughter?" I said through clenched teeth. Trey stepped closer, puffed out his chest. "Don't like your tone, soldier. You gonna bark orders like overseas? This ain't your battlefield." I didn't move. I didn't blink. Chelsea shrugged. "She's in her room. Probably locked in again. She's dramatic like you." Trey laughed. "Kid's got a mouth, though. Kept asking if I was gonna hurt her daddy. Said she'd scream. Cute kid. Shame about the attitude." That was it. I moved. Trey didn't even get the crowbar up. I had him against the wall in 2 steps, wrist twisted, metal clanging to the floor. His mouth split open as my elbow hit his jaw. Chelsea screamed. "Nathan, what the hell?" I didn't touch her. Devin burst through the back door. "Lena." "Upstairs. Hall closet," I said, not turning. He was gone. Trey groaned on the floor, one eye swelling shut, reaching for the bottle he'd dropped. I stepped over him. Looked at Chelsea. For the first time since I left, she looked uncertain. "This ends tonight," I said quietly. She tried to laugh. It came out shaky. "You gonna take her? Run away like a coward?" I stared at her. "No. I'm going to clean this place out. Then I'm going to show the world exactly who you've become." She flinched. Just slightly. And for the first time since I got off that plane, I felt something close to control. The house was silent by the time Devin pulled away with Lena wrapped in his coat, curled up in the passenger seat. I stood alone on the porch, watching the taillights disappear down the street. The cold air felt sharper now, clean in a way it hadn't in months. Inside, the place reeked, not just of smoke and alcohol, but of something worse, recklessness. Disrespect. It was no longer my home, just four walls filled with evidence. I went room to room, methodical. I didn't rage. I observed. Trey had left behind a backpack. I opened it. Pills, cash, a burner phone. His idea of a travel kit. Chelsea's phone sat charging on the kitchen counter. I didn't touch it. I didn't need it. She deleted anything that mattered long ago. But her laptop that was upstairs on the nightstand. She never logged out. I opened it, sat at the foot of the bed we used to share, and began reading. Her email was linked to her socials. Instagram DMs, Facebook messages, threads with names I didn't recognize. Men. One from a woman named Casey caught my eye. Girl, Trey is hot. The pic you sent. Damn. Does Nate know? Chelsea had replied. LOL. Let him find out. I'm so bored of pretending. This one's at least exciting. You know. Exciting. I scrolled further. Pictures. Not of them together, but of Trey in my kitchen. Shirtless. Cooking eggs. Sitting on the counter drinking my whiskey. In one video. Low quality. Recorded from her phone while she laughed. Trey pacing in the living room. Man, he comes back early. We'll handle it. Hell, maybe the kid watches. Teach him how real men take charge. The laughter that followed, hers, wasn't nervous. It was delighted. I paused. Watched the clip again. Let the words burn. I didn't feel rage anymore. Just clarity. I copied everything. Photos, messages, audio. Sent them to a secure folder I had set up long ago, a habit from years of ops training. Redundancy was survival. I shut the laptop. Devin texted me an hour later. She's sleeping. Safe. You good? I typed. I will be. Then turned off my phone. Sleep didn't come easy. I lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling fan. In the dark, every creak of the floorboards above sounded like her voice. Every whisper of wind outside like Lena calling for help. By morning, the plan had formed. This wasn't about emotions anymore. Chelsea wanted to play games. She forgot I was trained to win them. I parked 2 blocks away and walked in through the side alley. No reason to make noise, no need to announce I'd returned. Chelsea's car was gone. Probably with Trey, trying to play house somewhere they could keep up the performance. The front door was still broken, the latch bent from the slam the night before. I slipped in quietly. No lights. No sound. Just the stale air of a house too long soaked in lies. I moved room to room, picking up only what mattered. My old documents from the fireproof box. My deployment records. Lena's birth certificate. My father's watch. The kind of things you don't replace. In the master bedroom, I grabbed a duffel and filled it with clothes. Not all, just enough to make it clear I hadn't run. That I'd left on my terms. Then I opened the drawer I'd built into the base of the closet myself. Hollowed behind the wood paneling, lined with steel. It held my backup phone, an old Samsung with a cracked screen, and a thumb drive labeled, if it gets bad. It got bad. I booted the laptop again and connected the drive. Inside was a folder with saved passwords, screenshots from months ago, emails Chelsea had sent when I was still deployed. Some were innocent, but others, they weren't even trying to be subtle. One email stood out. Subject line, final stage. From a guy named Brett. Not Trey. The message. Once the transfer's done, walk away. If he fights it, call me. Don't catch feelings. This isn't about love. It's about leverage. Attached was a copy of a bank routing sheet. My bank. My name. My pay deposits. Chelsea had set up a second account under both our names, forged, and linked it to a third party. Every month, a portion of my deployment pay had been redirected. Not much. Just enough to avoid notice. But consistent. She didn't just cheat. She stole. And she wasn't acting alone. The worst part? It had started before Trey. That meant he was just the latest version of whatever this game was. I checked my security system. Cameras I'd hidden, 2 still active. One in the garage. One over the back porch. Footage confirmed it. 2 other men had been in the house over the last month. Not friends. Not family. Partners. They came at odd hours. Left with packages. Once, Trey handed one off, then kissed Chelsea on the stairs like it was normal. I transferred the video to the thumb drive. Then copied everything again to cloud backup. I didn't trust paper anymore. Before leaving, I walked through Lena's room. She'd left a drawing on the desk, a picture of a treehouse with two stick figures inside. One tall, one small, both smiling. A third figure stood outside. No face, just red scribbles where the head should be. I stared at it for a long time. Then I folded it, slipped it into my pocket, and walked out. This wasn't just a betrayal anymore. It was a setup, and I was done playing defense. By the time I left the house, I had already switched modes. No longer a betrayed husband. No longer confused. No longer raw. I was a man with a mission. Strategic. Cold. Precise. Devin gave me his guest room. Lena didn't ask questions. She slept hard, like her mind needed to shut down completely to protect itself. I let her. She didn't need to carry any more weight. At 7 a.m., I called Liam Carter, former Jack, now divorced lawyer with a reputation for finishing things fast. She emptied joint accounts, brought a man with a record into my house, put my daughter at risk. I've got video, bank statements, school counselor notes, even her voice on tape laughing about how they'd handle me. Liam didn't pause. Email everything. You'll have an emergency hearing scheduled by midweek. Do not contact her. Let her dig her own grave. That day I did what soldiers do when the shooting stops. I regrouped. I went over every shred of evidence again. Not for doubt. I had none, but for completeness. Every file, timestamp, and audio clip. I flagged anything that could raise the stakes. Trey's probation violation. Chelsea's falsified bank transfers. The missing childcare records from school. A forged doctor's note for a weekend trip that never happened. I called Lena's school. Told them I needed documentation of her recent counseling sessions. They hesitated until I mentioned custody proceedings. Then they sent everything. Reports showed changes in behavior, isolation, fatigue, visible stress, reluctance to return home after classes. All dated. All signed. Ray, my guy from the service, installed the tracker on Chelsea's car 2 nights earlier. Now he added her phone to a mirrored app. I saw her entire message history since I'd landed. Nothing surprising. Plenty disgusting. Conversations between her and Trey filled with mockery. He'll cry, beg, try to play the victim. Then he'll leave and we'll move in fully. Once his name's off the mortgage, we flip the house. Easy win. Lena? She'll adjust. Or not. She's tough. They spoke about my daughter like she was a suitcase. Just more baggage they'd toss or keep depending on how the mood hit. I sat in Devin's kitchen with all the lights off and stared at my laptop screen. No rage. No fire. Just calculation. She didn't know what was coming. By nightfall, Chelsea had sent 4 texts. First one polite. Can we talk? I think we owe each other that. Second. This isn't healthy. For any of us. Especially Lena. Third. Look, I never wanted to hurt you. You're making this messy. Last one, after midnight. If you think you can take her from me, you better be ready to fight. That one made me laugh. Quiet. Short. Flat. She was right about one thing. I was ready. At dawn, I sat on the edge of Lena's bed. She stirred, opened her eyes. Are we going home today? No, I said softly. Not yet. Is Mom still with him? Yeah. She nodded. Okay. I don't want to go there anyway. She turned back to the wall. Said nothing else. After breakfast, I scanned our home security system. Cameras were still active. I pulled up the most recent feed from the living room. There they were. Chelsea and Trey. Her legs across his lap. A drink in one hand, remote in the other. He was scrolling through the smart TV settings. I watched as she leaned in and whispered something. He laughed. They looked relaxed. Like nothing had consequences. Like they'd won. I hit record on the clip and saved it to the folder. Evidence, prior to hearing. Then I opened an email to Liam and typed 4 words. Make it irreversible. Now. The emergency hearing was scheduled for Thursday. 9 a.m. Liam called me Wednesday night. Judge Cooper. Fair, but doesn't like surprises. Stick to the facts. Let me handle the heat. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. I won't blink. Chelsea still hadn't stopped texting. That day alone, she sent 8 messages and called twice. The last one read, You're acting insane. We could have ended this like adults. I won't let you take her from me. I didn't reply. Not because I didn't have the words. I had too many, but because I didn't owe her a damn thing. I'd already submitted everything. Documents, footage, statements from Lena's school, even the forensic breakdown of Chelsea's withdrawals and rerouted transfers to Trey's accounts. Liam had built a legal warhead. My job was to hold the launch key steady. Devin drove me to court. Lena stayed with his sister. On the way, we didn't talk much. He just handed me a black coffee and said, "Don't hold back." I nodded. The courtroom was small, efficient. No media, no drama. Chelsea walked in wearing a soft pink sweater and jeans, her hair done like it was a parent-teacher meeting. Trey wasn't with her. Just her. Alone. That surprised me. I thought he'd come to mark his territory. Maybe he finally realized it wasn't his house anymore. She gave me a look when she sat down. The kind you give a dog that bit you, and you still expect it to apologize. I didn't look back. The judge asked Liam to begin. He rose like a loaded rifle and started listing the points. Evidence of extramarital affair involving a man with a criminal record. Multiple nights where said man stayed in the marital home. Financial misconduct. Rerouting of shared funds without consent. Neglect of the child's emotional well-being, supported by school reports. Security footage of unauthorized individuals on the property. A voice recording indicating intention to mislead and isolate the petitioner from his own daughter. Chelsea stayed still for the first 5 minutes. Then she started shaking her head. Quietly at first. Then louder. "Your Honor, this is insane," she blurted out finally. "He's twisting everything. I was the one holding our home together while he played soldier." Judge Cooper didn't flinch. "You'll have your chance to speak. But keep interruptions to a minimum." When she finally did speak, it was more noise than substance. She spun stories. Claimed Trey was a friend, said the money had gone to house expenses. Claimed I was unstable, aggressive, traumatized from deployment. Said I'd changed. She teared up at the right moments. Used words like confused, lonely, trapped. But none of it landed. Because Liam calmly showed the judge her texts. The ones where she bragged about the plan. The ones where Trey called Lena baggage. The photos of him smoking weed in my garage, shirtless, holding a drink at noon. The one where Chelsea posed in our bedroom with his hand around her waist. No emotion. Just evidence. Judge Cooper called a recess. Outside, she caught up to me in the hallway. "You think this makes you a better parent? You abandoned us. You left for months." "I left to serve," I said. "You brought in a con man and treated my daughter like a liability. Lena needs her mother." "No. Lena needs safety. And you're not it anymore." She tried to speak again, but Liam stepped between us. "Save it for the judge." Back inside, Cooper returned with a single ruling. Temporary custody is awarded to the petitioner. Respondent is granted supervised visitation pending further review. Chelsea blinked. Just once. And for the first time since this started, she didn't speak. Didn't move. Just sat there, hands tight in her lap. The gavel hit. And it was over. For now. I didn't celebrate the court win. There was nothing to celebrate yet. I just drove home, picked up Lena, and didn't let go of the wheel for a full hour. She didn't ask what happened. Just leaned her head against the window and stayed quiet the whole ride. That night, I cooked her scrambled eggs and toast. It wasn't much, but she said it was the best dinner she'd had in months. We ate in silence. Not awkward. Just still. Like both of us were waiting to see if the walls would finally stop shaking. Chelsea didn't call that evening. She waited until morning. Texted once. "Lena deserves to have both parents. We can find a peaceful solution." I didn't answer. Then came the email. Long rambling. Full of apologies with no substance. She claimed Trey wasn't who she thought, that she'd never meant to replace anyone, that she only wanted to feel seen again. I forwarded it to Liam. "For the record," I wrote. A few days later, I took Lena to the local library. She loved reading, always had. As she browsed through the young adult section, I sat on one of the benches near the windows, scrolling through court documents and timelines. That's when I saw her. Chelsea. In a coat too big for her frame, hair in a bun, sunglasses on inside the building. She wasn't alone. A woman stood beside her. One of her friends, maybe. I recognized her vaguely from photos. The same one who used to comment under Chelsea's posts with, "Yes, Queen," dumped the loser. They hadn't seen us. I didn't move. But Lena noticed. She froze, clutching her book to her chest. "Dad," she whispered. "Can we leave?" I stood up. "You okay?" She nodded fast. "I just don't want to talk to her." We walked out. Chelsea didn't follow. But when I glanced back through the glass door, she was staring right at me. Next message came that night. "You're turning her against me. That's emotional abuse." I blocked her number. The next week passed in silence. No calls, no emails. Only legal updates from Liam, who assured me everything was moving. Supervised visitation requests. Therapy mandates. financial documentation reviews. One night, Devin came by, dropped off a bottle of decent bourbon and said, "You're doing good." She doesn't control the room anymore. I don't want her destroyed, I said. I just want her out. You think she'll stay gone? No, I said, but she'll come back weaker every time. On Sunday, Lena and I went grocery shopping. She was slowly coming back to life, smiling a little more, sleeping better. We were halfway through the frozen food aisle when it happened. Chelsea turned the corner, pushing a half-empty cart. Alone. No tray. No makeup. No plan. She saw us. And in that split second, all the bravado slipped. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. She looked smaller. Not just physically. In presence. She stepped forward. Lena. Lena moved behind me. Quiet, firm. Chelsea stopped. I didn't know you'd be here. It's a store, I said flatly. Not a courtroom. You don't own space anymore. Her face twitched. I just wanted to say, I'm trying to fix things. I raised an eyebrow. Without the cameras this time? She flinched. You think I'm the villain? No. I know it. She looked at Lena. Sweetheart, please it. Lena didn't speak. She just turned and walked toward the checkout. I followed. Chelsea stayed frozen in place, surrounded by quiet shelves and flickering lights. Like a ghost who hadn't realized she was already gone. 2 weeks later, I got the opportunity one didn't ask for, but I took it. Lena's school was hosting a spring fundraiser. Family picnic, open to parents and relatives. Chelsea had filed to be allowed limited access under supervision. The court granted her 3 hours. She showed up wearing a floral dress and a smile she'd probably practiced in the mirror 10 times. Polished, rehearsed. Mask back on. Trey was there too. He lingered on the edge of the event, arms crossed, sunglasses on, like he thought people wouldn't notice him. I did. So did Devin. He nudged me. Bet him. I nodded. Won't be for long. I'd come prepared. The school was using a projector for the end-of-day slideshow. Parents were invited to submit short video tributes. I sent mine early in the week, a mix of pictures and clips of Lena and I during the past year. Simple, clean, nothing unusual. But at the end of the file, I added a short section. Just 5 seconds. One audio clip. Just enough. Near the end of the event, the lights dimmed. Parents quieted. The screen flickered to life. Laughter, music, photos. Kids in costumes. Teachers smiling. Then came ours. Lena and I painting, hiking, playing board games. I heard her giggle in the front row. That was everything. And then, Trey's voice. Crystal clear. From the footage I'd recovered weeks ago. She thinks I love her. We're just keeping the place warm till Nick gets back. Then we take the cash and bounce. The audio cut. Silence. Then whispers. Parents looked around. One of the staff glanced toward Chelsea, confused. Another toward Trey, who suddenly looked like a cornered animal. Chelsea stood frozen. Her smile evaporated. The air cracked around her. I didn't need to say a word, but I did anyway. I stepped forward. I'd like to apologize, I said calmly. That clip wasn't supposed to play here, but maybe it should have. So people know the kind of guests we bring into our homes, and the kind of mothers we trust to protect our kids. Dead quiet. Chelsea's eyes welled, not with guilt, with humiliation. Trey turned and walked out. Fast. She stayed, locked in place. Like a cracked statue in a garden that had long stopped blooming. I turned to Lena. You hungry? She nodded. We left. No drama. No shouting. Just a slow walk through a crowd that finally saw her real face. As we reached the gate, Chelsea called after me. Nick, you don't have to do this. I stopped. Looked back once. The mask is off, I said. No more cameras needed. And we walked away. Not for revenge. Not for closure. Just for peace.